With week one of fantasy hockey officially in the books, it's time for our first look under the hood. How did Steele and I perform in the past week? What are we doing to fix our squads? And everything in between on the latest episode of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Let's get this paper.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is good, my fantasy fanatics? Welcome back inside the lab to the Tuesday, September the 14th edition, and I mean October, my friends, because hockey is here, and we are back 5 days a week to make sure you're building that winner. This is the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Shout out to the everydayers holding us down, making us your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, where new customers to the app get $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 wager hits. Mr. Roden, before we take a look under the hood at how we did in week one in both of our fan listener leagues, a couple of bits of news to get to. Lane Hutson, Josh Norris, over to you. Big extension for the young American D-man, or is he Canadian according to his dad? However, fantasy impact here on a team on the rise.
Yeah, I mean, Lane Hutson is just an absolute beauty when it comes to hockey right now. And fantasy hockey, I think sometimes, we talked about it with Miro Heiskanen that, maybe it doesn't translate over right away when it comes to fantasy hockey, especially in categorical leagues. And, just looking at his stats from his rookie year, 66 points in 82 games. It's phenomenal. Only 91 shots, though, only 40 hits, 123 blocks, which is great. I'd like to see those numbers elevated to an extent where you can put him in a tier amongst some of the best defensemen in the game right now. I'm not going to say he's in the same breath as a guy like Cale Makar, but I see the similarity from him between him and a guy like Quinn Hughes when it comes to what they're able to do with the puck, moving it, jumping into the play, into the odd man rush with his line mates. And when you look at the contract, 8 years, $8.85 million AAV, he's underpaid. I mean, when you look at some of the contracts that have been handed out over the last year or over the last couple of days, even, Jackson Lacombe, Luke Hughes, Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, all these guys. And again, I'm not going to try to put him in the same breadth as guys who have been in the league for, 4 or 5 plus years now and who deserve that kind of money. But you look at some of these contracts, especially with the salary cap going up, and it's kind of surprising that he's not making a little bit more than 8.875, maybe even closer to 10 million is where I would have had him, especially with the salary cap going up so much. But this just proves that he's committed to Montreal. He's committed to winning there. And they have a lot of great contracts under the salary cap so far. With Kent Hughes, he's done a phenomenal job over the years, rebuilding, reshaping this team. Lane Hutson's going to be a huge part of that. Fantasy-wise, obviously, as he continues to grow and he continues to develop, you want to see him elevate his game, start filling out those peripherals. Definitely. Obviously, he's on the smaller side of stature when it comes to his size, but doesn't mean he can't shoot the puck a lot more. It can't mean he can't score more goals for the Montreal Canadiens, especially if he's quarterbacking that power play. I mean, pretty phenomenal deal. And, you're sitting back, kicking your feet up if you're Kent Hughes.
Interesting that the Montreal Canadiens kind of start with a relatively soft schedule here. Blackhawks, Kraken, Red Wings, Toronto Maple Leafs, and aside from that blip to open the season, they've looked pretty good. And I would say when you look at Lane Hutson last year and you're talking about him cleaning up the 200-foot game, two-way game, which immediately translates into more fantasy success, usually for a young player of this nature. Last year, 109 giveaways to 56 takeaways. That's something he already has to clean up. He's got 5 giveaways, no takeaways this season. There isn't a category in fantasy for it, but if he can figure it out, and you would like to think securing the bag here, even if it is a relatively team-friendly deal, this could be one of those situations. He plays well with Caden Goulia with his pairing. He's a top power play guy. Maybe this little boost of confidence gives him what he needs to tighten it up 2 ways. And then, like, when you look at 40 hits last year, 34 penalty minutes, the peripheral numbers that you're mentioning, wanting to get more, maybe that's what you get. However, with Josh Norris and the Buffalo Sabres, we touched on it briefly. I think all we need to say is You were right. Band-Aid boy extraordinaire. This guy is in a spot in his career, Steele, after, it's upper body. We know he's had problems with that shoulder. We don't speculate on what the injuries are, but we saw head coach Lindy Ruff talking about it. He's going to be out a while. What's your take on what's going on with Buffalo to start the year? Because I got a couple of numbers here to throw it back over to you. This is back-to-back years opening at 0-3. They're struggling mightily to score goals. They are 0 for 11 on the power play to start the year. What's your take on the Sabres here? A team that definitely there were some pieces that we were kind of buying into. Fantasy-wise, what are you looking at? What are you seeing from the Sabres? Josh Norris out long-term once again.
Yeah, I mean, just the vibes are low. And the morale is low. And I don't know if you saw that post-game, scrum with Tage Thompson after their loss the other night. But, he even said it himself. It's not good. It's not good for morale when you're losing. You can't keep looking back. You can't look at the last 3 games, the last 4 seasons, the last 14 seasons. What's done is done. And he's tired of talking about the past. And it's a frustrating squad right now. I mean, this is time and time again, and things haven't changed in Buffalo. And you're starting to see some of these quotes come out but you're starting to see these quotes come out from top players in Buffalo, like Tage Thompson, like Rasmus Dahlin, that they went to their GM, they went to their coach. If things don't start to change, they're not going through this again. They are determined not to be on a losing team. And while they're a part of it, while they need to be the, part of the change, the culture change, the leadership change in that locker room, it's tough because it's year in year, day after day, the same thing once again for the Buffalo Sabres. So,
yes, sir.
The vibes are low, morale is low. You need to get some goal scoring. And, I mean, it's tough to start the season like that. 0-3, the New York Islanders, I believe, are the only other team that haven't won a game so far to start this season, especially in the Eastern Conference.
Yep.
So it's very tough, especially if you've committed to some of these Buffalo Sabres at the, high in the draft. And, obviously things are bound to change. They're not going to be losing forever. They're not going to be not scoring goals forever, but you want things to change. And that's what you need for your fantasy team. As for Josh Norris, look, as much as I want to see him play, as much as I believe he is a very talented, hockey player at the National Hockey League level, he can be a goal scorer in this league. I mean, he's basically just Patrick Laine reincarnated without the top tier goal scoring.
Sure.
This guy, the way he got injured doesn't even make sense to me. It was off a face-off. And it looked like it was lower body by the way he went down, but it's upper body. These things just aren't adding up. And again, when we talked in the preseason, I'm not trying to, rub your nose in it, but
no, we'll get there. We'll get there after the break.
This guy cannot stay healthy no matter what he does. So he is a long shot when it comes to fantasy value. Again, there is potential there, but it just never pans out the way you want it to.
UPL also been injured with a lower body. Zach Benson's been banged up. They obviously trade out JJ Peterka. And now this lineup that we kind of were liking a little bit maybe a few weeks ago, Josh Doan is on the top line. Maybe that's something you take a look at a stream option. Tap into our Waiver Wire Sunday episode for some other options for Josh Norris to fill out your week. Steele, I put him immediately on the IR, but I wouldn't blame you if you're not even wasting an IR spot on this guy. He's going to be out long term. What does he do when he comes back? We've seen that he takes a long time to really get into game shape. We'll talk about our teams in the Listener League, competitive and casual. We do have 8 games on the Tuesday board tonight, and we'll be back all week. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has another offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers that bet $5 and win get $300 in bonus bets in the account right away. Pick a bet. Put down $5. If it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app, something that Steele and I do on the regular. In plays, same game parlays, futures bets. You got cash outs quick, easy, and secure on the FanDuel app. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com today to download the app and get started.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review for your boys here, Flip Livingstone and Steel Roden. Flip, week 1 is over. We're on to week 2. And I don't know about you, but in every single one of my fantasy hockey leagues, it was a scrappy battle to the final bitter end to try and win these matchups. Every single one of my matchups in week 1, I either lost or won by a single category. So I was just, scrapping, trying to survive in week 1. And, fortunately for some of the leagues, I came out on top, and others, unfortunately, I came out on the bottom.
It's really weird that past week. There was a game day loaded with games, then the next day, no games, then a whole bunch of games, then one game. The schedule to start the year has been tricky from a fan perspective and definitely from a fantasy perspective. However, I got a mixed bag of results in week 1, Steel. In the casual league, I got absolutely taken to the woodshed by Boosh Dags. Look, when I take a look at my team in the casual league, and I'll just get quickly to it, Josh Norris was a player that I drafted in the 14th round, and that's what I just kind of wanted to bring up here in terms of other players that went around his spot in that 14th round, Steel, that I could have had instead. How about Jared McCann, Alexis Lafreniere, Blake Coleman in the 14th round? Travis Sanheim, Jonathan Marchessault, William Eklund, some other pieces that I could have gone after. And now I have to get creative. So for me, when I look at my team and you have to now assess, I just mentioned, is he worth an IR spot? I'm thinking I'll probably just drop him and pick up another player. Casual league, it was a rough sled. In the competitive league, however, did a lot better. There's moves to be made, right, Steele? I don't know how you feel about your team, so I'll turn it over to you. But I'm very much liking my team a little bit more in our competitive league, one in which I do have Lane Hutson on the back end. So I would say this, if you're a GM out there in a league that is a little bit more shallow, you're going to have options all year long. Maybe don't get too handsy, too hasty, too early, Steel. Whereas in leagues where you have 15, 16 GMs, you might really want to stick to the waiver wire a little closer to start the year so you can augment your roster, if that makes any sense to you, Bell.
Yeah, it does. And, again, things are a little bit hasty as well for me in the casual league. I believe I lost 5-6-2, 5-6-3 in week 1 in that matchup. And, yeah, I mean, overall, I struggled, and obviously goaltenders during the draft was, a different level of bad drafting for me. And I'm struggling right now in that goalie category. I have Stuart Skinner, Samuel Urson as 2 goaltenders, and I have UPL and Joseph Wall on the IR. I've kind of switched back and forth with Tristan Jarry a little bit. So goaltenders are going to be hard to come by. The competitive league, I've really liked my team. I liked my draft, Wyatt Johnston, Brandon Hagel, Will Cooley's been great as well. With the peripherals that he brings, shots, blocks, and hits. Matt Coronado, I think, still going to have a really good season, and he had a really good game last week with a 2-goal performance in that loss. I have suffered some injuries as of week 1. Vincent Trocheck is out on a week-to-week basis. Jake Allen got injured last night, so now I fall back to 2 goaltenders, Jacob Markstrom and Cameron Talbot. I like my team. I like where my draft went, and I like how these players have played so far in week number 1. And when you just look at the overall league standings right now, which I'll bring up in our competitive league, I mean, you had a great week 1, 6-2-4. Obviously, the defending champion, Blake Creamer, Beefers and Cream over here, he dominated week 1. And I mean, there's a lot of really good teams, a lot of really high competitors looking to come for the crown, and they're not messing around. Week 1 was, again, like I said, scrappy for myself, and I'm going to continue to assume so because everyone wants to come out and get that championship.
Another little update just on a player that I've been looking at, Kochetkov for the Carolina Hurricanes. Look, we're buying into what's going on in Carolina, and I know it's only 2 games, and one of them was against the Philadelphia Flyers. However, this offense is rolling, and I see a lot of value in whoever is in the cage in Carolina. However, he's still on the IR. That's retroactive to October 5th. but they did call up Alexis Legault from the AHL, so he's not going to be on the start of this road trip that they have here, Steele. West Coast road trip, San Jose, Anaheim, LA, Vegas. So that's a spot to keep your eye on, because if it is that youngster from the AHL getting a fill-in, Steele, and a guy like yourself who's looking to plug and play some goalies, there's some couple of favorable matchups there for that team on a West Coast swing. That might be a nice little plug-and-play type angle. When I look at my team, though, Steele, a player that's jumped off the page for me early on in the year, and I know the LA Kings are 1-3, Quinton Byfield has looked really good. 2 goals, 2 assists. He's got almost 10 shots on net. He's throwing his body around, 9 hits through 4 games. I think this is a big year on tap for Quinton Byfield. I know we've been kind of waiting on that, saying he's a breakout player. He shows signs of scoring highlight reel goals, then he goes quiet. I think this is the year for Quinton Byfield. So if I'm highlighting a player that I think has a ton of value in him, obviously, unless it's really, really shallow leagues, he's not going to be out there. Just throwing some love to Quinton Byfield, who I expect a really big year from.
Yeah, I got a few players that I'm keeping my eye on, both whether they're on my team or I'm looking to potentially trade for them. Number one, I just want to highlight Martin Necas, because he's having a phenomenal start to the season. And I know a lot of people out there didn't really believe that he could come out and, play at a level as high as Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar on a nightly basis. How is he going to fill those skates of Mikko Rantanen, the absence of Mikko Rantanen on that top line? And in all honesty, he's been absolutely phenomenal so far. 8 points in 4 games, a +6, 3 hits, 1 block, 9 shots on net, a 33.3 shooting percentage right now. You look at over the last year, he had 29 points in the last 17 games with the Carolina Hurricanes, comes over and has 28 points in 30 games with the Colorado Avalanche. He's not stepping down. I mean, the chemistry is there. He looks really comfortable. He's playing on the top line with McKinnon. The chemistry has translated into early points, like I said. He's getting a healthy amount of ice time. He's being relied on in more critical moments. I think maybe the only thing that you could maybe knock him down, or, if you're trying to look into the future, is he going to be able to keep that intensity up, playing on that top line with all of the more responsibility that he's been given by Jared Bednar? And can he keep up in his defensive duties, not just the offensive side of things? So I wanted to highlight Martin Necas, because you're getting a real bang for your buck here. Value, the return on investment, however you want to look at it. This guy was getting drafted on average in the beginning of the 5th round, and he's playing like a first-round player right now. So I wanted to come on here and highlight Martin Necas. A few players I really just wanted to highlight quickly as well. One of them being Alexei Protas. I thought he's had a really good start to the season for the Washington Capitals as well. This is a massive player. I didn't realize how big he was. 6'6", 250 pounds. Big boy. Very big boy. 2 goals, 4 points in the first 3 games, 10 shots on goal. This is a player that's gotten a lot more ice time as well. He went from playing just over 16 and a half minutes of average ice time last year to now playing upwards of 19 minutes. So the ice time, the opportunity he's going to get in Washington, I think he's making it known right now that, this wasn't a fluke. This last season that he had wasn't a fluke. He's picked up right where he left off. And in those first 2 games against the Islanders, scored 2 goals, had an assist. The size and skill is a combination of a power forward, decent hands, finishing ability, and he's showing he can be more than just that big body. So I really like Alexei Protas and what he's done. He's rostered at 74% right now on Yahoo. And real quickly, before I throw it back over to you, before we get to break, Matthew Schaefer as well. I thought he's played really well to start the season for the New York Islanders. He's at 64% himself on Yahoo. He has a goal and 2 assists already. He's got a point in every single game so far. And I've really liked what he's done as well. 10 shots, a block here, a couple of hits. I think Matthew Schaefer and the New York Islanders, while they also haven't won a game yet to start the season, that can change quickly like it should for the Buffalo Sabres.
I like what's going on with the Colorado Avalanche. You mentioned them. I really appreciate you bringing up Protas. The Colorado Avalanche off to a good start, 3-0, scoring goals. Washington, it was New York, the Islanders, however, off to a pretty good start. Let's see if these teams sustain these hot starts, because those are the teams you're going to want to be kind of cherry picking, even if it's a stream on a week to week. Big time bets, 8-game betting board for Tuesday night. We'll be back Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, actually now Steel, Sunday through Thursday every single week. 5 episodes a week to make sure you guys are ready to go all year long.
Big time bets when we come back after the break. But first, this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving a ton of money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization off your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. And once again, thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review for your boys here, Flip Livingstone and Steel Roden. Flip, over to you, my friend. Big time bets. I believe you said 8 games on the docket for tonight.
Yep.
Where you looking? How we feeling? How those big bets coming along this week?
Yeah, a little up and down for your boy to start the week. Saturday was a better slug over at Dauber Hockey for my Saturday picks. However, looking at this 8-game board, I see a couple of tricky matchups, Steel. Seattle Kraken, Montreal Canadiens, Edmonton Oilers, New York Rangers, Tampa Bay Lightning, Washington Capitals. And when I even look at a game like the Minnesota Wild and Dallas Stars, I see a lot of kind of 50-50 quote-unquote situations. But when I look head-to-head for Minnesota against Dallas, Dallas hasn't dropped a regular season game to Minnesota in over 3 years. They are 8-0-2 in their last 10 games against these Minnesota Wild. And I understand that this is a different year, a brand new year. However, if I'm just going on what they've done head-to-head, I love the Stars here on the money line as my first pick in a 3-leg same-game parlay, Steel, and I'm just going to ream them off super quick. We got stuff to do here. However, I'm taking the number up to 6.5. These two teams, when they get together, of those 10, 8 of them have gone under the number, but I'm feeling a little sketch, so I want to go safe. These 3 picks together are still going to get you paid out at over 3-1 on your money, and my lock of the night, he has been pretty good to start the year. 4 points in 2 games, 3 of those assists. Mikko Rantanen, anytime assist. Right now, Steel, Mikko Rantanen, anytime assist at minus 125, I feel is a very generous odd for a player who's clearly been feeling it. Let's go with Rantanen anytime assist as my lock of the night, the under 6.5. And I'll take Dallas at home on the money line to Minnesota, a team that historically they've taken out to the woodshed.
Loving those picks, even though it's against my Minnesota Wild. And I understand why it's the second game of a back-to-back for the Wild as well. So I also felt to have the Dallas Stars in this situation, and I do feel comfortable enough to have them on the puck line at plus 126. They are 8-0-2 in their last 10 games against the Minnesota Wild, and like you said, they've dominated whether it's on the road or at home. It is in Dallas though, and they play well at home. So Stars on the puck line against the Wild plus 126 as the Stars are 8-0-2 in their last 10. Second pick, Cole Caulfield, 3+ shots at minus 140. You can also take the 4+ shots if you're feeling a little bit friskier at plus 175. This guy shoots the puck a ton. He wants to score goals, and he's doing so already. And when you look at what he's done over the span of the first 3 games, he has 10 shots on goal, but he has 23 total shot attempts. He shoots the puck. He needs to hit the net a little bit more. But I feel comfortable taking either the 3+ shots at minus 140 or the 4+ shots at plus 175, whether you're feeling a little bit spicy or not. Final pick in the same breath as what you just said with the Dallas Stars against the Minnesota Wild. The Oilers kind of have the same history and record against the New York Rangers as well. Oilers into Madison Square Garden. I'm going to take the Oilers on the money line, -137. They are 7-2-1 in the last 10 games. And while the Rangers are 2-2 on the season, they've been shut out twice already to start the year. They have struggled to score goals, or the goals have come in frenzy. So this is going to be a really good game, I believe. And I have the Oilers on the money line at -137. Cole Caulfield, 3+ shots will be my lock of the night.
That's getting added into my same game parlay. Most definitely. I like it. I don't know if I'm as confident in the Dallas Stars on the puck line as you, but you are the puck line king, puck line guru. I'm feeling it. We'll be back for Wednesday's show.
Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Peace.